When Thucydides was young, he was sickly and small, and could not compete with some of the older boys, and so disgraced his small town of olive trees and hot rocks and the goats and that sunlight like rage. And in their anger and his shame at their share in it, the boys held him down and pissed across his chest, and despite winning the boxing laurels and rising to the status of general years later, it seemed like nothing mattered except the feeling of heat on his chest like a hot sting. This is not true. Or maybe it is true, except his name was really Theoclyde, and the Greek village was a tar paper town in the Mississippi Delta, and he was black and the boys were white, and piss was yellow, and he would recall that hot rain of shame burning small holes in his chest as he beat a man nearly to death in the boxing ring later in his life. Or maybe none of this is true. And the story here is the power of words to make you think of shame. Because that boy was you. Or because the other boys were you. Or both, or neither. And how, regardless, the words ask you to carry them all now. The boy with small knives of urine nicking his chest open, and the ones standing above him with their dicks out for all the world to see, like small tyrants. The country western poem knows that first there's the matter of your gargantuan patriotism, brandishing the stars and bars of its own obstinate self-regard to explore before the ekphrasis of the pickup and the shotgun and the red dog beside you is addressed. That triptych of American exceptionalism, before you can come to the girl in the halter and the Daisy Dukes, that sass-talking schoolmarm crossed with pole dancer ingenue. She will be waiting by the tracks that tie up the landscape in glorious ribbons of unending steel that ride on across levees and soybeans, drop slow grades, and run beside rivers flowing deeply as money into the consciousness of a country too big for itself. A mess of space and light going in and out of black and white, the grainy retrospective of Americana, of the split rail and the water tower and the snapping flags that refer back to the opening acts of this little drama of a nation as the light turns golden in the west across the ticking of the corn. She will be waiting to take you into the honky-tonk accommodation of her quite heaving bosom, forever waiting to drive with you into a sunset that glows like the flags and flames decal in the window in the back of your truck, the huge Hemi of it heaving and sobbing. In the buzzy neon and fresh vinyl of LAX, two men come together, the senator from California and a trumpet player. They come together around the spinning black track the baggage claim makes and grip each other's hand and for a moment look like a photo and its negative. "I'm a big fan," says Nixon, smiling rich as cream. "If ever there's anything I can do for you, just let me know." And to the surprise of everyone, Armstrong shuffles his eyes down, replies, "Well, sir, I got an extra bag, and if you could grab it, I'd be grateful." And everyone's watching now. And now Nixon's grin falls a little. But he's a little too good at his job to be rattled, and he snatches the bag and he carries it through customs, while the merry snickers of the band follow him the way a wake follows a boat into dock. A blue marl of sky clouds the glasses of the men who stand sentry around the senator as the two men move toward the black silk of their limos, and Armstrong opens up his picket fence smile and accepts the bag back with a shuck and a nod to all the other layers of the story. Race riots and war, the thicket of heat rising up the Manzanita Hills, lies ready to brush fire their way through the American experience. And given all that he was and all that will happen, black-capped burglars with their satchels, wiretaps hissing on the line. I'm only too happy to show you Nixon humiliated here. But who's to say that's the story? The future's still blank as the glasses of the senator's men. A circus of hands gathers the bags and stacks them in the trunks of the cars as the sunlight sloughs off the twin aircraft parked nose to nose in the blooming heat. Nixon knew what it meant to make a man a fool, but Armstrong knew that customs would never search the senator and find the quarter pound of Jamaican pearl he'd hidden in that bag.